Next, prototype driverless cars are appearing on the high streets. Your watch can tell you how healthy you are, and the days of using your mobile phone just to make calls are over. Welcome to the so-called Internet of Things. Kevin Ashton is the godfather of this movement. He coined that term and refined the process of how our machines communicate. Well, How to Fly a Horse is the unlikely title of his book about how the creative process is more about perspiration than inspiration. I met him earlier this week and began by asking whether creativity should come easily to us all.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say it was easy, but I do think it's innate and we all have the ability to be perhaps more creative than we realise. But we've been fed a bit of a lie for the last 100 years or so, which is that you have to be some kind of genius and ideas will suddenly pop into your head at unexpected moments, and all you have to do is write them down and you'll be good to go. And none of those things are true. Actually, you start with a problem and you try and solve it, and your first attempt probably won't be good, but if you keep going, eventually you'll get there.
Does collaboration help or hinder?
That depends. I think what we see when we look at people who are successful and they collaborate, they tend to come together when they have a problem they don't quite know how to solve, or perhaps they're feeling a little bit down and they need cheering up, and then they'll kind of go back to their study or their office and do a little bit more creative work. So if you come together once in a while to sort of pep each other up, or maybe help solve a difficult problem, then that's very helpful. What's challenging is when you have 25 people in a room all trying to work together simultaneously.
So is there actually an original idea, or do all of us, even the gifted ones, steal the odd thought and maybe just change it a little to come up with something new?
Everything new is made of something old. But you know, the way you make it new is you add just a pinch of something different, and that's how everything gets created. Really, when we look at the stories of pretty much everything that's been created and invented, you find that it's a series of very small steps, and even the people who are most famous for inventing something have really built on the work of other people.
Is it necessary to fail to get good at being creative?
Yes. You know, you do a first draft and a second draft and a third draft, or a prototype that doesn't work. You know, Sir James Dyson did 5,126 prototypes of his vacuum cleaner before he had one that worked. So it's essential to be ready to fail, but you have to survive the failure. You know, you can't, you do the thing and it explodes and you die, then obviously that's not good.
Do you think culturally we're ready for that failure, though, that we have a fear of it and therefore we might shy away, therefore we might not try and push that idea at all?
Absolutely, and that's a side effect of this myth about, you know, geniuses having ideas in their sleep and only having to write them down. When you sit down to create anything for the first time, even if you're very experienced, you know, your first attempt is not going to be that good. But that's the beginning, and then you make the second attempt, you make things a little better, and you keep going for as long as it takes, and eventually those steps lead you to somewhere extraordinary.
How do you fly a horse?
One bite at a time. No, the title is actually a quotation from Wilbur Wright of the Wright brothers, who explained how it was that they were the first people to fly by pointing out that the problem of flying is actually not getting into the air, it's balancing your aircraft when you stay in the air. And he dropped a piece of paper to the ground and it would, you know, dart backwards and forwards. And he said, you know, this is the horse we must learn to ride if we want to fly.
Kevin Ashton, thank you very much indeed.